Syria is a very complex subject, and one should not be rushing to form your conclusions without careful study. It's a master plan at work with this Arab Spring, they call it. But the biggest prize of all was not Egypt, not Tunisia, not Libya, not Yemen. The biggest prize of all was Syria. Why? Number one, Syria has been a frontline state against Israel, with a common border with Israel. Egypt has a buffer zone in between the Sinai, and Jordan, of course, is a Zionist state. These are the three states around Israel. Lebanon is important only to the extent that Syria is important, because of Syrian influence over Lebanon. The reason why Syria is so complex is because Syria not only has the Shia-Sunni divide, Syria also has a very important Christian community, which belongs to Rome, not Western Christianity, more of Orthodox Christianity. And Syria also has the Druze and the Alawi and so on. So very complex. What they did was to install a regime in Syria long years ago. The French did it. To install a French-installed regime in Syria that will butcher Syria on France's behalf. And that was Hafiz al-Assad. Oh yes. The Assad regime over Syria was installed to do the work that the Zionists want them to do for it. But that's the same thing with Zia-ul-Haq in Pakistan. Zia-ul-Haq was in charge of Black September. Black September. I don't know why they call it Black September and blackmail and black this and black fear. They don't like the black color. But then Zia-ul-Haq stepped out of line. Oh yes, he stepped out of line when he began to pursue an independent policy for Pakistan, and then the aeroplane had to fall down from the sky. You know, accidents always happen with Zionists. In the case of Syria, we see Syria moving in the direction of an alliance with Russia. So long as Russia was a Soviet Union, no problem, because the Soviet Union is a Zionist clone. But from the late 1980s, when the Soviet Union collapsed, or they brought it down, and then Russia started re-emerging as a Christian country, now it's trouble. Now we have a problem in the 1990s and since 2001. We have a problem with Syria having close ties with Moscow. Before the Soviet Union collapsed, no problem, none, because the Soviet Union is our friend. But now that Russia is re-emerging as a Christian country, as Rome, now we're not going to allow Syria to have that kind of a relationship with Russia. The Soviet Union had a naval base in Syria, and Russia inherited that. And we cannot allow Russia to have a naval base. We can allow the Soviet Union to have it, but we cannot allow Syria to have it. So they have to plan for an armed insurrection in Syria and make it look like the Syrian people are now, after all these years of bloody oppression, they're now rising up to get rid of this hated regime, blah, 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 blah. Yes, we know. that our people have suffered in Syria. You don't have to tell us that. We know what Hafiz al-Assad did. Yes. But we also know that you do not wage a jihad alongside Gog and Magog. Huh? You do not wage a jihad and the weapons are coming from Santa Claus. State-of-the-art weapons that Santa Claus is sending them. And then you give us this bogus nonsense. No, we're taking it from the Syrian army. We heard it so many times before. No, you're getting your state-of-the-art weapons from Santa Claus. That's right. You do not wage a jihad with weapons from NATO. If that's your choice, go your way. When you die, we will not pray over your body. And we will never stand at your grave. If you take weapons from NATO to wage your bogus jihad, if you're taking US dollars from NATO and from Saudi Arabia and from Turkey to wage your bogus jihad, we will not pray over your body and we will never stand on your grave, and may Allah take my words all around the world so they can hear it. That's not the way we wage jihad. No. So this is the biggest plum of all, Syria. And the biggest amount of deception involved is in Syria. And to come and tell me that the Shia are killing Sunnis, what an inadequate analysis. What an inadequate analysis. With that statement, you want to complete your analysis of what's happening in Syria? If the armed insurrection in Syria were to succeed, the implication would be that Syria will be another Libya. Is that what you want? Shame on you. You're so shallow in your thinking. Shame on you. You want Syria to become another Libya? Huh? No. Finally, Syria is the biggest plum of all, because it is in Syria that Imam al-Mahdi will be in the masjid, and Dajjal will confront him outside the masjid, and Nabi Isa alayhi salam will return. When he comes down and after the salat is over, Nabi Isa alayhi salam will say, open the gates, indicating that the masjid is barricaded, indicating that the armed insurrection in Syria is going to continue until the day that Nabi Isa alayhi salam returns. That's the implication. You cannot succeed. You cannot succeed either one way or the other. The killing is going to continue until Nabi Isa alayhi salam returns. Yeah.